Monday, May 31st, 2021. I'm Ephraim Graham, and ahead here on CBN News Watch, big news in the Middle East. We could be seeing the end of Benjamin Netanyahu's term as the country's longest-serving prime minister. Plus, way to celebrate this Memorial Day, but there's one item on the menu you need to watch out for: those sugar-filled treats. Studies show they could be making you sicker than you think. We'll explore.
Sugar has been shown in several research studies to worsen depression, to worsen anxiety, and associated with things like brain atrophy and dementia.
And it's called corporate radicalism. Companies pushing a political agenda that could raise serious concerns for Christians.
Corporations like Walmart, Apple, and others are richer and more powerful than some countries in this world. They're going to use the power that they have within the corporations and every other institution to persecute the church.
This is CBN News Watch.
Thank you so much for joining us. We begin this half hour in the Middle East when Naftali Bennett announced that he'll be joining Yair Lapid to form a coalition government. As Chris Mitchell now reports from Jerusalem, decision could mean the end of Benjamin Netanyahu's term as Israel's longest-serving prime minister.
Naftali Bennett, a right-wing former ally of Netanyahu, told the nation that the proposed coalition would bring unity back to Israeli politics.
A government like this will succeed only if we work together as a group. Not I, but we. We will bring back the we that was Israel's secret weapon since the day of its establishment. All parties are invited to join the government. For the government to succeed, we all need all partners in negotiations, and after that to show restraint.
Minutes after Bennett's announcement, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned the new government would put Israel in danger.
I call on the members who were elected with the right-wing votes. I call on those who have a conscience and who have a path. Go on with this path. Don't establish a leftist government. A government like this is a danger to the security of Israel and is also a danger to the future of the state.
According to the agreement between Bennett and Lapid, they would rotate the office of Prime Minister, with Bennett going first. Lapid is considered a key figure of the secular left, while Bennett is more of a leader of the religious right. They have until Wednesday to finalize the deal with parties from the right, center, left, along with the support of an Arab Islamist party. This is the so-called change bloc in order to oust Prime Minister Netanyahu.
When you have a right-wing and a left-wing party that is coming together, not based on issues, but based on trying to get rid of a particular personality, that results in a fairly unstable government, and generally they don't last very long. So there's a good chance that there will be more elections in Israel before you get to the midterm elections in the U.S.
Political analyst Eli Pieps says if Lapid and Bennett succeed in forming a new government, it will be tested.
Israel's enemies will be looking for Israel's weaknesses, looking for weaknesses in a coalition government that is really not based on very much, very easy to knock down this house of cards. So it is something that will encourage Israel's detractors, Israel's enemies in the world to try to take advantage of this new weakness.
Any new government will face a set of daunting challenges: Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran's nuclear program, internal tension between Jews and Arabs, and a rise of anti-Semitism around the world, along with the U.S. administration not nearly as friendly as the last one. It's why Pieps and others say it's a vital time to be praying for the peace of Jerusalem. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Here at home, America is marking Memorial Day, its annual day to honor and remember those who gave their lives for their country. And many people have been on the go this weekend, traveling like they haven't since before the COVID-19 pandemic began. So what's helping? Fewer cases, increased vaccination, and declining restrictions. Senior National Affairs correspondent Heather Sells is on the story.
Americans have stayed at home for over a year, but no more. This Memorial Day weekend, more than 37 million are traveling, up 60% from last year.
I remember last year it was like empty, and now it's all seats are full.
It brings a sense of freedom and just to get out again.
I haven't been home in 2 years, so whatever I got to do to get home, I'm going to do to get home.
One key reason people are out and about, they are clearly less anxious. A new Yahoo News poll Friday shows only 15% of Americans are very worried about COVID-19. They're feeling safer in part because of plummeting cases. The daily number is down nearly 70% in the last 6 weeks. Plus, Americans are getting vaccinated. Over half have received at least one shot. Helping to drive that, the recent eligibility of 12 to 15-year-olds.
The real game changer has been the vaccine.
With Americans more confident, the airlines are gearing up for a busy summer.
2020 obviously became the worst year we've ever had. Now 2021 is right here in the middle, and we're growing back towards 2019 levels.
What's also helping big cities like Chicago and New York and big states like Massachusetts and Minnesota lifting COVID restrictions. One plot twist this weekend, some downright cold weather in parts of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic.
It is absolutely disappointing.
But temperatures are expected to start climbing again today in many places. Across the country, Americans are remembering those who died while serving their country, from Watertown, Massachusetts to Sacramento, California.
Every year, the VFW organizes putting crosses and flags on the graves of veterans to honor those who have served in the military.
People are enjoying get-togethers that are long overdue and hoping to put COVID-19 in the rearview mirror as summer begins. Heather Sells, CBN News.
60 pounds, that's how much sugar American adults consume each year. No wonder more than 40% are obese. And who consumes even more sugar? Guess what? Children. Lori Johnson brings us this alarming report on the havoc sugar can wreak on your health.
More than 42% of adults are now obese, making it the first time the national rate has passed the 40% mark. One reason? We consume 3 times the recommended amount of sugar. Most American adults consume about 1/3 of a cup of sugar each day. Think of it. That adds up to about 60 pounds a year. This much. But guess what? Kids consume even more than grown-ups, 65 pounds a year. A lot of that comes from beverages. Kids consume 30 gallons of liquid sugar a year, enough to fill a bathtub. Fruit juices, sport and energy drinks, even tea and coffee are often loaded with sugar. This one Starbucks item contains more than 14 teaspoons of sugar, almost 2 days' worth. Candy bars make people happy without them realizing they're eating a whole day's sugar allotment.
They do feel that uplifting feeling for a few minutes, but the problem is these long-term effects.
Doctors say consuming too much sugar can lead to cancer, heart disease, and brain disorders.
Sugar has been shown in several research studies to worsen depression, to worsen anxiety, and associated with things like brain atrophy and dementia.
Even foods that seem healthy are often loaded with sugar, like this protein bar with 8 teaspoons. Canned peaches in syrup, 18 teaspoons. Baked beans, 22 teaspoons. In her book, Breaking Up with Sugar, Molly Carmel describes her decision to lose weight after tipping the scale at 325 pounds.
Sugar is a tricky little abuser because it really is everywhere. I gave up ketchup. I gave up teriyaki sauce. I gave up a lot of salad dressings.
This tiny jar of pasta sauce contains 5 teaspoons of sugar, and this small bottle of barbecue sauce has 54. Health experts say one of the best ways to reduce sugar intake is to avoid processed foods and cook at home from scratch. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Longtime actor Gavin MacLeod, who achieved fame on 2 major television shows, has died at age 90. MacLeod played Murray Slaughter on The Mary Tyler Moore Show in the 1970s, after having been a guest star on many shows and playing in many movies for several years. Co-star Ed Asner tweeted, "My heart is broken." After Mary Tyler Moore, MacLeod took on the lead role in the hit series The Love Boat, playing Captain Merrill Stubing. McLeod once said the critics weren't kind, but the viewers loved the show.
The worst was, we'll sink like the Titanic. And so because of all of you, when everybody that watched our show made it a hit, we did not sink like the Titanic. 44 years later, we're still out there doing it.
McLeod died at his home apparently from natural causes. He dealt with a drinking problem, but along with his wife, he became a born-again Christian in the 1980s. They both together hosted a Christian radio show. Again, Gavin McLeod was 90 years old.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
Wednesday at 3 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Memorial Day is a time to honor those who gave their lives as well as those who served and came back. Former Navy SEAL Mike Day is described by a doctor as perfectly wounded after he was shot 27 times and survived. It's also the title of his new memoir. Why does he believe God spared his life? And why is he considering making a run for governor? Mark Martin brings us the story of this American hero's fascinating life.
It still has all the bullet holes in it, still covered in blood. It's ripped in the back here.
Retired Navy SEAL Senior Chief Mike Day shows me body armor that helped protect him in a battle with al-Qaeda terrorists in Iraq.
What is this here? Talk about this.
Well, this is what we call an LBE, load-bearing equipment. So this is what you carry your radio in, your magazines, and it's actually loaded up pretty much the way it was that night.
That night in April 2007 in Anbar Province, Day's team of Navy SEALs and Iraqi scouts were on the hunt for a high-level al-Qaeda cell. He says the terrorists had shot down helicopters. Being the first to enter a 12-by-12 room where 4 al-Qaeda leaders waited to strike proved to be almost deadly.
As soon as I entered the room, they opened fire, and I lost my rifle. I transitioned to my pistol, and I killed the guy down the left wall as I was coming off my feet, and I landed right next to him.
When the gunfight was over, Day took out all 4 terrorists in the room, but not before being shot 27 times and hit with grenade shrapnel.
So all of this equipment you were wearing the night that you got shot 27 times?
Correct.
Day first shared his miraculous story with CBN News 6 years ago. Now he has a new book called Perfectly Wounded, a memoir about what happens after a miracle. He says the title came from a comment made by an emergency room doctor.
So he got to see all manner of gunshot wounds, stab wounds. I mean, he saw, if you work in the ER, you get to see all that stuff.
True.
And I was explaining to him where I'd been shot, and his response was, well, you were just perfectly wounded.
Do you believe that God spared your life?
Yeah, I do. A lot of people will look at that whole gunfight. No, you got shot 27 times and walked away from it. You're here for a reason. I think I'm just starting to find out that I actually am. I look at the rest of my life and how protected I've been. I haven't talked to these people, my guardian angels, but I've almost died multiple times, and I'm still here.
What do you hope people take away from the book?
Maybe a way to help build resiliency, and I don't want to give advice. I don't. I'm like, this is how I did it. That's pretty much what the book's about. How I suffered trauma like everybody's going to, and how I built the resiliency to get through the next one.
Although Day doesn't want to give advice, he does offer this to those who may deal with tough times in their own lives.
If all you do is sit on a couch and watch TV and eat bad food, when something really bad happens, you don't have the training, you don't have the practice to get through that. And it can become overwhelming, and it's going to dump you into a hole. So it's just a mindset of training and practicing to build resiliency. And that means getting up and working out. Push yourself just a tiny bit. I like to end my showers with cold water. Knocks the steam down in the room, and it also provides that shock. And I think if you practice physical resiliency, it's going to also build your psychological resiliency, and vice versa.
Before writing the book, Day spent his life giving back. He worked at the U.S. Special Operations Command Warrior Care Program, also called the CARE Coalition, helping service members. He's also taught free fall to military personnel and Special Operations Urban Combat to SEAL teams. Senior Chief Day is also in the process of starting a nonprofit organization called Warrior Tribe. It will provide resiliency education for young people, veterans, and trauma survivors. The retired Navy SEAL is also considering running for governor of Virginia because of his concern that constitutional rights are being taken away.
Yeah, very preliminary. I don't really want to do it. But when I get scared, and I'm kind of scared right now when I'm watching, when I get scared, I go fight. I don't cower. My fight or flight reflex tells me to go fight. And I'm kind of scared right now about what's going on.
Day definitely did not cower that night in 2007 in Iraq when he nearly lost his life.
Why is it important to you to keep this?
Because I want to be able to remember. I mean, it's a treasured possession of mine because it helps me remember and know more. And I don't want to forget it.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for your service, too, as well, most definitely.
No, gee, I got kicked out of high school. I had nothing else to do.
No, it's very honorable, your service.
Well, I'm lucky I got to do it.
Mark Martin, CBN News, Virginia Beach.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
and we know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com to get your copy today.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Companies once avoided politics like the plague, but now some are openly pushing a political agenda. Dale Hurd takes a look at the consequences.
Ready to change the world?
Corporate America is woke. Woke means being aware of alleged social injustice. So instead of just pitching their products, companies today are pitching political causes, liberal political causes. Shampoo makers used to run commercials about shampoo. Now they're showing lesbian parents helping a biological boy become a girl. Dove is celebrating women's different body types. Vaseline is fighting for equity in skincare. The gay agenda now has the support of the Oreo cookie. And Burger King is warning that bovine flatulence from the cows it depends on for sales is causing climate change. Stephen Sokup, the author of The Dictatorship of Woke Capital, says big business believes you need to be trained on how to think correctly about social issues.
This is a continuation of a trend in American history of an elite ruling class that believes that they're sort of the benevolent guardians who are taking care of the poor, stupid American people who don't understand what they really need and what they really want and what's really best for them.
After Major League Baseball yanked the All-Star game from Atlanta to punish Georgia over its new election integrity law, and then more than 120 CEOs and business leaders held a conference call to discuss punishing more states, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell warned corporate America to stay out of politics. And Republican Senator Rand Paul called for a conservative boycott of woke companies, saying they're hypocrites for doing business in China, which uses Muslim slave labor and persecutes pro-democracy dissidents.
They're boycotting the Georgia state law, and yet they do business with China. China's never seen a free election. China's now putting people in jail for over a year at a time for speech violations.
The GOP now finds itself fighting corporate America, something that would have been unheard of years ago. The American Conservative Union has threatened to retaliate against companies pushing liberal agendas, and SOCUP has founded a new coalition of conservative groups called Stop Corporate Tyranny.
The question is, why are corporations willing to take political stands that could cost them business?
Because many companies clearly don't believe it will. Even some of the largest asset management companies in the world are acting woke. On the BlackRock website, CEO Larry Fink urges companies to adopt sustainable business models to fight climate change. Together, they have enormous leverage on the U.S. economy by virtue of all the shares they own in American companies. And now employees are being subjected to training in diversity and inclusion. But there's a phrase that says, "Go woke, go broke." And when hundreds of companies signed a statement against election integrity laws, conspicuously absent from the list were Delta Airlines and Coca-Cola, companies that have been threatened with either boycotts or new legislation by Republicans. SOCUP believes market forces will eventually end the woke movement in corporate America.
Markets have a pretty proven ability to sniff out misallocation of capital, and I believe that they will, in time, they will punish the corporations and the managers who have pushed this.
But journalist Rod Dreher, author of Live Not by Lies, which warns that America is headed toward totalitarianism, believes the woke movement in corporate America is not going away and could lead to a new social credit system like China's, one that sounds a lot like the mark of the beast in the book of Revelation, that punishes people for holding the wrong political views.
And this is not paranoia. These are things that are being talked about right now
in Silicon Valley as something that would be good for America.
Left-wing groups are already pressuring credit card and online payment companies to ban conservatives.
Corporations like Walmart, Apple, and others are richer and more powerful than some countries in this world. They're going to use the power that they have within the corporations and every other institution to persecute the church. People think I'm radical for saying this sort of thing, but I'm telling you, it's coming.
Socop says it's time for conservatives to engage and tell corporations to get out of politics. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crabb Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel. Now available at cbnradio.com.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Time now for your Monday motivation. Here's a thought I'd like to leave with you today. A holiday pushes the pause button on daily routines. It's a practice we must all exercise in our lives on a more regular basis. Rest must become routine because we all need it, and we can't wait for a holiday to get it. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. I want to remind you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there at any time, also online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We certainly would love to hear from you. Make this a marvelous Monday and a wonderful rest of the week. Happy holiday to you. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.